Hello and welcome to the Be Better podcast. My name is Harrison Orr. I am your host, and this podcast is for anyone that just wants to be better in life. And being better isn't about being bad to begin with, right? I work with countless guys that are in that space where I'm in this pain, I'm being reactive to what I want to change, and then they go through making changes. They lose some weight, they handle their stress a bit better, they get on top of their finances, and then they get to that place where, cool, I'm not in that much pain anymore, and then they get complacent. And so I want to help you guys to make sure that you don't get to that complacency, go back to that pain, and then have to be reactive again. You can get to that place out of the pain and continue to grow, so you're constantly looking for ways to be better. You're being proactive in ways to be better. And so this podcast was formerly known as A Man's Reality, where I was kind of documenting my journey as a father, as a business owner through life, in the hopes that if you're listening to this now or in the future, that eventually you would be able to kind of take some of these lessons and skip the scar. You can take the lessons from myself, from the lessons that I've learned through the clients that I've coached, and be able to implement the lessons from that so that you can avoid those painful experiences yourself, and then hopefully, skip the time, the pain, the effort, and move through life faster. And so the reason for the change was because I felt like under that banner of A Man's Reality, it was very much a documentative style of podcast. It was very limited. I felt limited into just myself. But recently, I've been on a few podcasts as a guest, and I've actually loved that experience. I loved connecting with other people, having a conversation about cool things, and I found that extremely energizing, invigorating, and really exciting. And so that's the level of energy and perspective that I want to bring to this podcast as well. So not only do I want to give you my insights through my lessons, my experiences, but also bring other people into this podcast so that you can learn, and we can all learn from their experiences and lessons and area of expertise. And then ultimately we can all grow in terms of our own growth, area of expertise, and just moving through life, because we are tribal creatures. We are meant to do things together. We are meant to work as a team. So I don't see how that doesn't benefit literally anybody. And so that's a mission that I want to bring to you guys, is to have amazing people onto this podcast. So first of all, the concept of being better. Like I said before, it's not always about looking for that pain. The guys or the people that I have seen reach extraordinary heights and achieve insane results in all areas of life are the people that are constantly trying to be better. They are able to acknowledge that, cool, what they've done has been fun and has been cool, but in the same breath, they're not satisfied. So they're grateful for the opportunities that they have and have received. They're grateful for the people. They're grateful for what they have achieved, but they're not satisfied. They're not happy to just kick their feet up and be like, cool, I'm just going to chill here and wait until the money dries out, until I put on the fat again and then have to lose it, until my marriage is on the rocks and my friends and family think I'm an asshole, and then try to work on it. As they're looking for ways to be better, they're raising their standard. So I'm sure we all know that person that will wait until they are 20 kilos or more overweight before they do something, right? They'll go on a bit of a health kick. Maybe they'll do a detox, or they'll join a 12-week challenge. They'll lose some weight and they'll be going well. And then maybe it'll be Christmas, the holidays, or they'll go on a holiday, and you know what, YOLO, you only go on holidays once or twice a year. Fuck it, I'll enjoy it, I'll drink, I'll eat, I'll be merry, have all the fun, and then come back, and then they just don't get back into that routine. And that mindset from the holiday of just drinking that little bit more than usual, of just not really watching or measuring the foods, or being slack on getting back into the gym, just trails off, and then it becomes really hard to get back into it. And then they get to that point, they have that set point of maybe it's 20 kilos, maybe it's 25, maybe it's even 15 kilos overweight. And then that's their tolerance level, if we could call it that, of like, oh shit, okay, I've hit this marker. Now I need to dial in my nutrition, do another challenge, do whatever it is to kind of get back to that desired physique. And so, I'm sure you know other people where they might get a couple of kilos overweight. Maybe they spend the long weekend or a holiday away, put on 1 or 2 kilos, and they're like, oh no, can't have that. That's below my standards. And then they'll go hard and dial in the nutrition and the training and get everything right and get back up to square. So the difference is those standards. So as we get better, as we improve and grow, we want to raise our standards as well. Because if we raise our standards, then even on a bad day, even if we're having a shit time, we'll only fall so far. We won't fall all the way down to 50 kilos overweight, zero money in the bank, drug addict or alcoholic, whatever it might be, whatever your vice is, and then have to change. So, and that comes into shifting not just your habits, because this is the play on those 12-week challenges, why I'm not a huge fan of them, is because that's what they've found, is that's the length of time that someone can stick to a habit long enough. They can go hard on cutting out alcohol, cutting out socializing, cutting out the foods that they like, doing crazy amounts of cardio or training sessions every single week. That's rough. 12 weeks is roughly the amount of time that someone can stick to that cadence and that discipline before they start to crack. And so, because there's that end goal in sight, that timeline, people are able to stick to that. But then as soon as that 12-week hits, oh, thank God I can drink again. I can go out and get fucked up. Oh, thank God I can go back to eating chocolate again or having pizza on a Friday night, whatever your indulgence is. But the problem with that is, okay, you've changed your behaviors, but your identity and your relationship with food, with training, with your health hasn't changed. And that's ultimately what dictates your success long term. Because I dare say anyone that's tried to get in shape before, anyone that prioritizes their health, doesn't want to just do it for a couple of months. Doesn't want to do it for a few months and say, well, that was cool to be lean and to be healthy and energetic and fun. But you know what? I'm good. I'm going to go back to being fat, lazy, and tired and stressed for the rest of my life. I've had that phase, that fit girl, fit guy era is over. I've never met anyone like that. And so if we want to make this a sustainable change, then yes, our actions and our habits will need to change. But deeper than that, it's our identity that needs to shift. Because if you embody the identity of a fit and healthy person, like health is my number one value that I live by. And, I've done multiple kind of values tests, whatever you think they are worth. But then I've tested those, like looked back into my adult life and then looked at times where I was really stressed, where I was not happy, where things weren't going my way. And I couldn't put my finger on it. And those times were when I wasn't prioritizing my health, when I was getting horrendous sleep. I was working double, triple shifts in the kitchen, barely had time to train. My days off were spent recovering, and I was getting 5-6 hours sleep, if that, a night. My diet was kind of on point. So, that one's relatively easy for me, but the energy and the time to get to the gym physically wasn't there. Like if you're starting work at 5 a.m. and not getting home till 10 p.m., sleep is more valuable no matter who you are. So that came at a cost. And naturally, because health being a number one value, now that I can see that looking back, I was miserable. I wasn't happy. I was stressed out, and I'm epileptic, so it led to me having a seizure. And I know even now, if I am not prioritizing my health, I get irritable. I get frustrated at myself more than anything. And I don't need to work out a crazy amount every day or anything like that, but just little things to prioritize my health. So for me, what that looks like is 80-20 rule of eating. Mostly good, indulgence for the rest or just enjoy life the rest. Most of the time, I'm eating foods that nourish me and that I enjoy. I'm making time to move my body into exercise. Some days it's a walk, some days it's an ice bath, some days it's a training session. It mixes up, but I'm able to kind of tick that box of like, I've done something physically for my health today. Spent time in the sun, I've got my steps in, like I've do all these kind of things, got a good night's sleep, those kind of things. And that's what enables me to feel like, okay, cool, I'm meeting my internal values and needs, and now I can progress onto either the other values or other levels of priority. Because I know for me personally, when I am in alignment with those values, I'm healthier, but I've also got more tolerance for people. I'm better as a husband, as a father, as a coach, like everything just becomes easier. And so for people that, the challenge for myself at the moment is because previously I didn't identify as a business owner. I didn't identify as an entrepreneur. I didn't identify as a marketer or a salesman or any of those things. I thought, that's not me. Like, I just like to create stuff. I'm none of those things, which was kind of my ego maybe trying to protect myself, but it inhibited me from making moves and taking action in the business space. Because if I'm subconsciously saying I'm not these things, then it's going to be really hard for me to go against that. Like it creates this cognitive dissonance that you're saying that you're not these things, but then you're trying to go and do this thing. Like, well, which one is it? Either you have to shift your identity and then become, okay, cool. You know what? I am a business owner. I am an entrepreneur. I am a salesman. I am a marketer. I am these things. I may not be the best that I can be, but I'm working on it. So I am becoming these things. And that shift internally removes a hell of a lot of friction. And so if you're in that space, whether you're trying to run a business or you're trying to get healthy, and you're struggling to stick to the habits, you're struggling to stick to the actions, what I found really beneficial is, what would a business owner do? What would a fit and healthy person do? What would they do in this situation? Like, what decisions would they make? And, if you know someone personally, or, you have a role model in that space, for me at the moment in business, it's Alex Hormozy, it's Ty Lopez, like those are the two, phenomenal guys that I look up to. And so if I've listened to enough of their content, like read their books, and if I can put myself in their shoes, what would they do right now? At least as a guess, it's probably going to be different to what I would intuitively think to do. Right? Because otherwise, if I knew what to do, I would have done it and I'd have the results to show for it right now. So it's putting myself in that other perspective and making that different decision. And then you start to get feedback as to, cool, that was a good decision. That was a good thing to learn, to experience, and the result was positive. Awesome. Do more of that. Or on the flip side, okay, we made a misjudgment. Either we made a misjudgment or the execution wasn't up to scratch. Either the execution itself wasn't that great, or you don't have the skills or knowledge at this time to be able to execute on that level. Whatever it is, either way, you get feedback, and then you continue to grow, and then you continue to change. And then as you make decisions more and more from that space, eventually that starts to become who you are. And then those things start to become second nature. Because if you are the fit and healthy person, if you are the business owner, if you are the marketer, if you are the ideal husband, if you are the stoic dad, whatever you're trying to embody, then it starts to come almost like second nature. And that identity frame is super powerful. I found as well, because of that incongruence. When I'm frustrated and stressed, I can look at my day. I use a calendar, which makes life so much easier. And so you look at the calendar, and and you look at it over the day. Where did I spend my time? What did I actually do today? And then you look at, okay, the business owner, the coach, the identity that you want to be. Well, he probably wouldn't have done that. He probably wouldn't have spent that much time on social media. He probably wouldn't have, done this. He probably would have done this instead. And then you can start to pick out these changes of where you can be better. And so Joe Dispenza, who is another amazing human that I look up to and really respect his work and love what he's doing for the world. He has a self-reflection process at the end of the day. And the question is, where did I go unconscious? Because when you go unconscious is when you go into autopilot mode. You know, I'm sure we've all been in that situation where you're driving home from work or from training or from somewhere, and you do it every single day, or just about. And then you're off in la la land. Maybe you're singing a song that's on the radio, or you're playing, or you're just thinking about the stressful day, or you're just mentally somewhere else. And then you just pull into your driveway and then have this realization of, how the fuck did I get here? I honestly don't remember driving that last 20 minutes. And it just completely escapes you. And so we go into those zones so often throughout the day because we do so many actions that are the same as yesterday. And it would be very cognitively demanding for our brain to be highly alert at all of those stages. Think about when you brush your teeth, when you wash yourself in the shower, when you dry yourself, when you do all these little things that you do just about every single day. You know, the way that you greet your partner or your kids in the morning, or when you get home from work. If it's the same every single day, you tune out naturally. And so those are the times often where we default to yesterday's and the day before's pattern. And if that pattern isn't one that serves you, if that pattern doesn't align with either your values or with the person that you want to be, then in this self-reflection process, when you identify as that's where I went unconscious and I reacted emotionally, or I got lazy, or I wasn't present, or whatever that behavior is that you're trying to change, you can now bring a new level of consciousness to that the following day. And that becomes your little tweak as how you're going to be better. So that might look like, maybe as soon as you get home, kids run up, the partner runs up like, hey, how's your day, honey? Want to give you a kiss and a cuddle and all that kind of stuff. And you're stressed out from the day. Yeah, it was good. You dump your bags and your keys and your whatever, and you just go off to have a shower, or, you're not there while they're trying to get your attention and tell you about their day. And so if that's something you want to change, like, I want to be more engaged with my kids. I want to treat my partner like we first met. I want to have that spark, that energy, that lust with each other that's always sizzling there, that's exciting and fun. Okay, now I'm going to bring more presence and consciousness to those interactions. Instead of a peck on the lips or the cheek, okay, I'm going to give her a proper kiss. I'm going to hold her and press myself against her like I haven't seen her in weeks, like we used to when we first met. When the kids are trying to tell me a story, I'm going to put my phone away. I'm going to stare into their eyes and I'm going to be solely present. I'm going to be engaged and listen to their story like it's the best story that I've ever heard in my entire life. And when you give someone that kind of attention, watch them notice this. Like, watch the engagement, the energy level, the care factor that you get when they know that they've got your undivided attention. Like, people aren't stupid. They can tell when you're mentally off in la la land, when you don't care, when you're trying to send an email or a text message on the side, and you're like, oh that's crazy, Wow, I bet that must have sucked. Well, good luck with that. Like, what kind of interaction is that? You would feel pretty rejected, right? And so if that's not the kind of relationship that you want to have, then there's a way that you can also be better. And so when you start to do this process, then you start to realize a lot of places that you can be better. And if you're someone that experiences a lot of overwhelm, if you're someone who experiences a lot of anxiety or self-worth issues, then I want to pre-frame this with this journey, first of all, will never end. It doesn't matter if you're homeless, if you're Elon Musk, this same process will work for ways that you can be better. And so that's the beauty of it. No matter where you're at in your journey, this can be a useful tool. But the caveat here is introducing gratitude as well. Just because you're not as good as you want to be doesn't mean that you're a bad person. doesn't mean that you're worth any less. Doesn't mean that you're a shit human, right? Identifying these places where we want to be better is not intended for us to be, oh, well, I'm shit at this, I'm bad at this, I'm not good enough at this, I'm dropping the ball here, and identify all these weaknesses. It's like, no. It's like, where do I want to be better? Because I'm driven for growth, because I want to see what my potential really looks like. Because I know when I'm a better person, I'm a better dad, I'm a better husband, I'm a better coach, I'm a better human in general. And then so that radiates out to everyone that you interact with, which is pretty cool. And so focusing on the growth and the potential instead of, well, you're not good enough, you're shit, you're all these things, and you'll never be good enough. Like, that's not helpful. And so I've got plenty of frames around finding what is helpful in the way that we view these things, but I really hope that helps, because when we identify that we can be better, where we want to be better, and also why it's important for us to be better, right? Because there's no point just saying like, oh, I could be better at this, this, and this, because my wife tells me we don't have enough sex, because, she says that we should have $1 million in the bank by now, because I see on social media that everyone and their dog is earning 7 figures a month and I'm just left behind, and because this, that, and judging where you need to be better by other people's standards. That's not helpful. Because if it doesn't mean anything to you, then one of two things will happen. Either you'll put the energy in to make this change, achieve the thing, and realize, you know what, I actually don't care about being better in this thing. Like, I actually don't care about being an amazing violin player. That does nothing for my life, for my fulfillment, for my purpose, for anything. That's like not the intention. Or you'll try and put effort into making this change and then give up because it'll be hard, and you'll realize that actually I don't even care about this. Why am I going through this hard thing? Why am I suffering? Why am I putting all this effort in for something that I actually don't really care about? And so bringing in that meaning of, cool, why it's important to you. That can be as shallow or as deep as you want it to be. But when you do things for your reasons, then you own the decision. Naturally, as humans, when things don't go our way, we want to be able to blame somebody else. We want to be able to say, well, it's your fault this happened. You did this. I did this because of you. How many times have you had a partner say to you, I did this for you. You're so ungrateful. I went out of my way for this. I did this for you, for you, for you, for you. And maybe it was something that you never asked them to. And maybe the result or why it didn't work out wasn't anything that had anything to do with you either. And because there's that internal safety net, really, of, if this doesn't work out, we can blame someone else. We can say it's because of them and it's your fault that this didn't happen. It's not helpful. Like, blaming somebody else doesn't get you the result that you want. And so when we make whatever decision it is, I'm making this because I want to, because of XYZ reason, because this is important to me, because I want to do this thing, because I just like this thing, or I just want to have that result. Awesome. I'm doing it for me. And okay, that might benefit other people, but if it doesn't work out, I'm not there to then blame, well, we did this because of you and it's your fault. You should have done this. You know what? I should have listened to myself and said, no, I should have done this. I should have done that. And that's a very victimhood mindset. It's very toxic. So we don't want to be in that space. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope this was helpful as an intro to the Be Better podcast. If there's anything you'd like me to cover in ways that we can be better, then please drop me a note. I would love to connect with you. First of all, thank you for listening to this first episode of the Be Better podcast. My name is Harrison Orr. I appreciate your attention, your most valuable resource. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you guys next time.